Welcome back. Panama City continues to show aging infrastructure, and Hurricane Michael only made it worse, but city officials say they're working on it, holding a workshop today touting the projects that are in motion. News Channel 7's Victoria Scott gives us a rundown of what the game plan is.
Degrading pipes and old infrastructure in Panama City continues to weaken.
So what we've seen after Hurricane Michael and indeed Hurricane Sally is the fact that we have very vulnerable infrastructure. We have water lines, sewer lines, stormwater, and roads that are all rapidly degraded.
But city leaders say this will soon change.
It's a special workshop for our commissioners as well as our citizens to hear about the $420 million worth of grants and loans that we have for our citizens to be able to rebuild the city of Panama City.
The majority of that $420 million is coming from state and federal grants. Some of those projects are centered around water and sewer line improvements.
So we have, certainly we have our water lines that are very old, our sewer lines, some of them is terracotta clay pipe, which is the same technology that the Babylonian Empire used. So we're a first world nation, 21st century technology on our side. We can do better.
The money will also pay for an emergency operations center, a command post for officials during and after a natural disaster. The funds will also go toward rebuilding communities impacted by natural disasters, including home buyout programs and improving roads across the city. City Manager Mark McQueen says these massive investments aren't a Band-Aid solution.
We're actually preparing and implementing permanent solutions that are going to really solve these problems that our citizens have been enduring.
In Panama City, Victoria Scott, News Channel 7.
Well, city officials say residents are paying around $85 million of the $420 million in taxes for these projects. They also say they're required to spend the grant money in the next 3 to 5 years.